I'm sure you'll recognise that. The entrance to Toon and Lee's Pang farm in Thailand. Mrs is just coming out with her goat stick, but we're not on a farm today. Well, we are on a farm, but it's the farm that I'm stood in. So if I just spin round, look at the height of all this. And down there is our herd of big goats. So these are the bigs. The smalls have already been out this morning. And yeah, it's been a lovely little chain of events over the last 2 days. This farm here, last year when the farmer's corn failed, he let us put our goats in here and they had a right old feast. This year he had a go at growing cassava, and you can see it's been an absolute nightmare. He already ploughed it in once and planted again, and it's just failed. He didn't really keep on top of the weeds, but a lot of farms have been like this year. You may well know, if you do, put a bit in the comments why the weeds are so bad this year after we had such a prolonged drought. I would have thought a lot of the seeds would have got baked, but they've come back with a vengeance. It's good for our goats. So yeah, I digress. The guy just started to put his tractor through here, and Toon and I were just having a bite to eat at the front of the house. I said to Toon, hey, go and have a quick word with him and see if it's alright if we put our goats in here. So she ran out and he said, oh, I've already started flattening it all. He said, but I'll leave what still remains and put your goats in, see how you get on. So all he was doing was flattening the whole lot next to his corn. His corn is over yonder there. That's not ready to harvest yet. So we put the goats in. This is the first time this lot's been in here. It was a bit of a ordeal getting them over here through the farm and over the road, but they're in here now and they're pigging out. The smalls have been in here 3 times, so that was 2 days ago. And yesterday we were having a bite to eat at breakfast time, and the farmer and his wife, who own this bit of land here with the eucalyptus trees, these particular eucalyptus are different to the ones that we use. No, I can't see you, Mrs. Toon's in there at the moment. They came down just to have a look, see how it was doing and the weed growth. So I said to Toon, I said, oh, go and have a word with them. And they said, oh, we're gonna put the tractor in and plough in between the rows of trees. They said, if you're going to put your goats in here, you're more than welcome, and we won't plough until we see how they're getting on. If they're making good enough progress, then they won't plough, which is obviously better for their farm. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's nice that it's just over the road for us. Now the bigs have been in here once, they'll know the way. Goats have got a good memory for fodder. Their favourite fodder locations, they'll try and get there straight away afterwards. You're enjoying it, Samantha, aren't you? Our one and only dairy goat. So they're just about down the end, and once we get through this little road that he's squashed down, it's all squashed down at the back, and they'll all fan out and carry on noshing, hopefully, or they might go into the eucalyptus. It's good. It's a good way of getting the herd nice and full very, very quickly, whereas on the pastures that they've been allowed on frequently, it's all about knee height, a lot of it. Okay, down the far end of the farm is a lot higher, but we're not letting them in there yet. So this is a good old quick feed for them. Here they come. Come on, Coffee. Go on then. Bloody blaring. Alright, Yo-Yo. Go on, honey. Big booby Samantha. Naughty Slim. Off you go, missus. And Donna, who used to listen to me, now it's like peeing into the wind. I think that's it. Whoever's left behind, stays behind. But the only thing we've got to be careful of is the farmer who owns this is his corn on the side, and just make sure that they don't go in there. The smalls, the other goat herd, they've not been interested at all, not even sniffed it. Whereas when everything starts to really get into the dry season and die back, they'll be all over that. So hopefully I think he said another week or 10 days they're going to harvest all that. If it's done by machine, which I think it will be, that'll all be laid flat. There'll be loads of corn on the floor, and this lot should be allowed in there as well. So a bit of a corn bonus for them. You can see they're all fanning out now, they can't believe the luck. So the only downfall here is, until they get used to feeding here, we thought it'd be best if both of us are out here. But it looks like it's pretty straightforward. It might look like chaos to you lot, but it's everyone knows their names, and you can see where they're going. And what they really like is this stuff over here. It's almost like a bracken, but it grows taller than you. On our farm, some of it is taller, but where they graze on it, let's say about that much. These big goats will have at least that much, and then it will just start to sprout that way. Each time they come out, they'll be taking fresh bits off, and it'll get shorter and shorter and shorter, and become more of a bush, which is what's happened on our farm. So they love it. The reason that this is so prolific, I can only guess at, is because the ground's so compact. The roots on these are very, very wiry. So it's nature's way of trying to decompact the soil. Once that's started doing its business and also giving a little bit of shade, then you'll start to get the grasses come through. Right, what I'm guessing will happen, they'll work all the way down to the bottom and realise they've just walked over good pasture, so they'll either U-turn or they'll go in the eucalyptus. I did manage to get the smalls in the eucalyptus next door this morning, and yeah, they're all pigged out and they're as fat as anything at the moment, but they can't make as much headway as quickly as these. So we thought, right, the two farmers have been kind enough to let our goats in, let's try and get the big ones in, and then when they come down to check in a day or two, they can see what headway we've made, or what headway the herd's made. But I felt really good about it, you know, starting to work with other farmers now that are neighbouring to us. We've already earmarked the bit next door. Half of his cassava's failed, so I don't know whether he's going to give up on the other half or not. But certainly when the weathers have been against the farmers and that, and a lot of the time you just see them plough everything back in, which is better than burning, I suppose. And they just start again. But now the rains are coming to a close, I don't know what plans this fella's got. He would have kept his cassava in for a few more months, but no point, it's all out. I don't know whether he was concerned that it was a fire hazard. He said, oh, he was worried about a load of snakes being in there, so he squashed it all down. I don't think that'll make any difference. You look at everywhere else, it's so overgrown. So for all the spraying that goes on, it doesn't get rid of the weeds, guys. We're about 250 metres away from the farm now. If it was just the small goats, I'd be out with them on my own. There's 27 of those, there's 31 of these. They were on a training exercise yesterday, the big goats. It's the first day we let them out and about round the palm trees. There was a little bit of shouting involved, and the old naughty stick came in handy. Because the new big goats that we've got, I suppose we've got about another 15 big ones, they hadn't been around the palms before, so it was a steep learning curve for them. I was a bit hoarse after about an hour, and Toom was frogging like anything. The air was blue, but it take a little while. And of course, once the palms are big enough, then they can't damage them anyway. There's Angel, another goat that's too posh to push. I don't know how long she's going to keep her legs crossed, but those babies want to come out soon. We don't know what what date she was impregnated, so we're just looking at signs really, keeping a close eye on her, and hopefully she's going to drop about 2 or 3 kids soon. Little Sassy at the back there, still one of the most beautiful goats we've got. Screams worse than everyone else, and she recently had the worst diarrhea I've ever seen in my life. She's obviously eaten something that she wasn't used to, and we had to give her a shot. She went from fat as a pig one day to skinny the next, and thankfully it's all dried up round the back end. But yeah, she was in a right state. And, we tried to get her on the brown fodder, try and soak up whatever it was inside her, and that accompanied with the shot sorted it out, give her some vitamin boost as well. You see, goats when they're sick, they lose their weight incredibly quickly, and what you don't want is them to lose their appetite. If they lose their appetite again, it's a real struggle. One that we don't have to worry about appetite wise is Nam Oi. She's well, she reminds me of Tessa Sanderson. Any of you Brits will remember her Olympic javelin thrower. Quite attractive, but a big lass no less. Geraldine, Geraldine. Good, isn't it, girl? She likes it when I sing to her. Big old Martha over there. She's a unit, she is. And she's almost the same size as Bullseye. Although she's knocking on in years, and her boobies look like she might struggle to give milk, we're just praying that Bullseye can work his magic on her, and she can work her magic and give us a healthy girl before she's past it. That would be some very good blood in the herd of 2 big goats. God knows what Samantha's kids are going to look like. I mean, she's an oddball looking goat as it is. Mix that with a bit of bully, that's going to be a strange creature. You can tell Bullseye's enjoying himself. He's not come for any hugs yet. He's too busy. Here's an example of what goats do and don't like. They don't particularly like to be right in the middle of tall vegetation. So if this was a road, they'd stand right on the edge of the road, and then they'll put their heads into the vegetation and eat from sort of like a clear space. I don't know whether it's just built into them, you know, to things about snakes or something like that. I don't know. But you'll see once one's gone in and made it like a little bit of a dent, then they'll all start piling in there. They'll get the confidence, and then they'll clear a big patch like that. But you can tell when they're happily eating because they're all spread out. There's no bickering, fighting or anything like that. Not so much running around either. They're troughing. Alright, Blackie? Good, innit, girl? Another bonus of being allowed in here. When the sun gets a bit too hot, got some lovely shade in here. I had over an hour with the young ones in here this morning, and very pleasant, and no mozzies at all at the moment. We haven't had any rain for a little while. Here's something that might be of interest to you. Let's watch this leaf. You're not sure whether you got mimosa or not on your land, otherwise known as sensitive plant, or a zombie plant. Now this stuff is toxic, and a lot of people go to a lot of trouble trying to eradicate it off the land, but as with always, certainly in nature, there's always a yin and a yang from what I've found, and it's a natural cure for internal parasites, which of course is a constant struggle with goats that are allowed out on pasture. But it will kill them if they have it in big enough doses. So it's just being aware of it, and if one takes a particular fancy to it that they won't eat anything else. We've got one young one in the other herd called Sprout. She's just discovered it this morning and she does like it, so I just had to move her on after she'd had a few mouthfuls. And the tests that were carried out on it, cattle are the most susceptible, so they'll die well before a sheep, and sheep die well before goats. So goats are the most resilient to it. They have to eat quite a lot of it. So I know it's animal testing and all that lot. Clinical trials have proved that it is fatal to ruminant animals. So animals that have got the 4 stomachs and graze and browse upon vegetation, it will kill them if they have them in big enough quantities. So why haven't we taken it out? Well, it's incredibly good for your land. It's one of the few plants that removes heavy metals out your soil. If you do want to get rid of it, there's a few options available. You can't really pull it out by hand once the soil dries out. And you have to be very, very careful anyway, because there's a lot of small thorns on it. But you just wait till you've had a good downpour, and because the roots are so strong, when you pull them, it brings out the whole lot. So anywhere we've had a big breakout, I've just sort of like taken it out to stop it spreading too much into the pastures. Burning's a waste of time because it'll just grow back stronger. Spraying is a waste of time because as soon as it feels the droplets on the leaves close up. So you'd absolutely have to soak it to death. And to be fair, it's remember what it does, guys. It removes heavy metal, so it's good at dealing with toxins, poisons. So no, I don't think spraying will work. But the easy way is just cover it. You can see that it's sensitive. Clue's in the name. When you touch it, it closes up. As soon as the sun starts going down, it closes up. It likes direct sunlight. So all you got to do is cover it up. Just put well, a lot of people use tarps over the top. I suppose for large areas you could do that. Me personally, I'd use 3 or 4 layers of cardboard and then a really thick, deep mulch over the top. And then the roots will just use all their energy up, trying to send new shoots up, and the rootstock will gradually, quite quickly, run out of energy and just die back. So that way you're adding to your organic matter in the soil once it rots back, and also it'll leave little holes, little root system holes in your soil for the worms to populate. Over time we're gradually building up our knowledge of plants that's really good for the goats and not so good, and just takes a little bit of time. Not that well up on plants, it's not one of my strong subjects, but yeah, I know what they like and I know what they don't like, and I'll try and find, before I go back, another plant that they shouldn't really eat too much of. Basically there's a lot of stuff that when they bite into it, if there's like a white sap that comes out, so for those of you that like your somtam salad with your unripened papaya, when you peel that, you'll see a white sap come out. The general rule of thumb is, this goes for the majority of humans as well, they're allergic to that, so it can give you diarrhea. So it could have been something like that Sassy got on a patch of that and had a little bit too much, but everything in moderation. Part of our last batch of goats that we got is Mama. Although she's a girl, she's got a beautiful little goatee beard. And Doris, they're both heavily pregnant now. If we can get a set of twins off both of those. So they're like they are a mixed breed goat with quite a bit of boar in them. Boar's a South African breed. We saw the breeding buck that had got them up the duff before we bought them. He was quite a high percentage boar as well, so they should come out looking pretty much like their mum and dad. And then after that, they're going to get mixed with a Kalahari. Noi, she's quite a cute little goat, nice and little stocky frame on her, but she's still growing. Pollock, she's quite heavily pregnant. I'd say she's got about another 2 months. Spot, if she's pregnant, she's only just pregnant. Haribo, she is pregnant. God knows what that's going to look like. Licorice all sort. But our money's on Angel. Any minute now. Any minute now. Innit, missus? Bullshit pregnant, that's what Toon calls it. And here's little Heidi. Look at her. She didn't look that big, but she is so heavy. Sherbet, alright, my dear?
You two my son yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday, 2 months old she is. Look at that, that's like the best shag pile carpet there. It's lovely. Sherbet is our only goat that smiles. BB, not long pregnant, and she looks like she's got about 8 kids in there again. That's the mum who gave birth to Boston, who packed on the weight incredibly well. He was 21 kg at 7 weeks. So look at the size of that. It's ridiculous. Blackjack's back in with the big ones. Had a bit of trouble integrating her. She wasn't making friends easy. Geraldine, come on, Treacle. Yeah, we might have to get like a little electric scooter for her or something. Yeah, so Blackjack's not been long back in with the herd. Took a little bit of integrating. But it always happens, even if you put a big goat in there on their own, the others all have a pop at her. So the first few nights we put her in her own little room, and now she's fine. So her son Roger has been left with the little ones, and next to join this lot will be PJ and Hoover. There's proud mum, Brownie. So Heidi was her second, and both times she's given us a beautiful, healthy girl. Where's Owenetta? There's Owenetta there. So she's heavily pregnant. I think she's got about a month and a half to go, something like that. Almost everyone round here is up the duff. I think the only two that aren't pregnant's me and you, miss, isn't it? And I did my pee test yesterday. I'm not pregnant.
Terrible you.
I don't think I can get pregnant from hugging Bullseye. Good, isn't it, farming?